There's not a day that goes by that hasn't been handed down a $40 million plus nuclear verdict. But how do these impact even the small owner-operators, who have one or two trucks?
If they've got a DOT registered truck, they're going to be treated the same in the eyes of the court as a large a large national trucking company. The fact that they have a CDL license and that they're a DOT registered vehicle, they're held to a much higher legal standard than somebody that's driving a service pickup or box truck around town.
Obviously, these nuclear verdicts, insurance premiums are going to rise. Why exactly is that?
The commercial auto sector of the insurance industry is $40 billion a year. The insurance industry has not made a dime of profit for 9 years in the commercial auto space, with truckers being the biggest part of that. There was an article I read not long ago, and it was talking about the largest 200 verdicts in the country. In as short a time as 5 years, it had gone from an average of 26 million up to 52 million. A lot of that is the changing attitude of the courts with social justice and different things like that. I'd mentioned to you reptile verdicts or reptile philosophy, and what they do, they try to convince jurors that in the reptile portion of your brain deals with safety, survival, all those kind of things. So the attorneys try to influence the jurors through this reptilian portion of their brain that they need to protect society from truckers, for example. And so they will influence them to go, look, you have the right and the power to change this, and if you don't, then you continue to put society at risk. And by handing out a big judgment and punishing the person that did it, it will also deter others from doing it, and you can help protect society. And so that's one of the reasons that these settlements are going so large. I'll give you an example of one. There was one in Harris County, Texas, with one of the large national trucking firms. I don't want to mention their name, but their driver did nothing wrong. Going down the road, doing nothing wrong, car loses control, crosses the center median, runs into the front of the truck. 2 of the passengers in the vehicle were killed. 2 in the back of them witnessed it. The judgment was $90 million. And the reason that they got the judgment is they subpoenaed the driver policy, and in there it said, we do not put our trucks on the road in adverse weather. So they went around and talked to some other trucking companies who said, yeah, we'd taken our trucks off the road that day because of the weather. So here again, their driver did nothing wrong, but because they'd violated their own policy, they got hit with a $90 million settlement.
Man, I remember reading about that, and it's mind-boggling just how much and how kind of loopholed that some of these things can be. So as a company, as a driver, obviously getting with you guys as an insurance company to look at their policy to make sure that there aren't loopholes that are easily exploitable is kind of the best option, best defense against nuclear verdicts.
Well, that and making sure that you live by whatever your driver policies are, because that's where they lost, is they violated their own policy. So if you don't have a policy at all, then the courts will say, well, you're negligent for not having one, but yet if you put things in there that you're not going to live by, then that will work against you as well. The other thing, truckers, if they have drivers driving for them, not necessarily the independent guy, they need to be very careful what they put in their driver's qualification file. Mm-hmm. They have to have internal standards on how many tickets or accidents they will allow. They have to live by that. They have to run the driver through the clearinghouse, which started in January, make sure that he's passed all his drug tests, things like that. And so there's certain information you want to have in there, but then there's also certain information you don't want to have in there. If you've ever disciplined that driver for whatever reason, don't put it in that driver qualification file, because at the time of an accident, if it goes to court, that's going to get subpoenaed.
In terms of not having the cleanest driving record, let's say you are an owner-operator and you have had a few accidents and everything, is there anything they can do to kind of lower their insurance premiums, or is there kind of just you're kind of stuck with it?
If you've got a bad driving record, you're going to pay a lot of money, because trucking insurance is going up double digits a year right now because the industry is trying to get a handle around these losses. And so they're being very selective of who they offer insurance to. So someone with a deteriorated driving record, they're going to wind up in the highest risk markets and pay 150 to 200% of what the premium would be for someone with a clean record.
So what are some of the precautions that drivers can take to better defend themselves and kind of give them the extra edge?
Slow down.
Okay.
Slow down, keep enough spacing in between them and the car in front of them. Make sure that they're operating in accordance with the DOT laws of not driving more than 11 hours, having 10 hours of rest before they drive again. Most of that is controlled now by the electronic logbooks. But just the main thing is just be careful, pay attention, stay off your cell phone, anything that distracts you.
I was about to say pretty much all the same rules for a four-wheeler. Put them in a truck as well.
Yeah, and most trucking companies will have what they call a one-touch rule, to where if that person can utilize that electronic device with one touch, which is just to answer the call, then that's acceptable. But if they have to take it into their hands, then that's normally against every trucking company's policy.
And so another thing that you had mentioned are cameras. Run us through that one more time.
Forward-facing cameras, to where it films the accident at the time that it happens. Normally, these cameras will only come on whenever the truck brakes abruptly, exceeds the standard speed limit, swerves, whatever it might be. It activates the camera. Then if a crash occurs, you have a record of it. And so when the plaintiff or their attorney is trying to slant the story one way or the other, the camera will show what really happened.
Perfect.
Tremendous defense.
You were mentioning a road rage incident. What can they do to kind of mitigate that road rage? Or is there anything that you say if you're, prone to anger, you might not want to be behind the wheel of a big rig or something like that?
The first thing is just for them to stop and remember that they're the professional, and that they have to stay professional because they're driving a 60 or 80,000 pound vehicle down the road that has the potential to do a lot of damage. And while they may be engaging with road rage with somebody next to them, if they're watching him not paying attention to someone in front of them that may stop abruptly, then they put themselves at risk of having an accident.
Obviously, you have a phone number, website, things like that. Let us know about all that so they can find you.
The website is www.universalinsurance.com. So they can get us there. Obviously, our phone numbers are there.